What is one of the best trips you've ever taken? What made it great? I'm stuck in a three-way tie for this story, and there are probably a half dozen others in a close race for the position. I never did very much travel, but most trips I took usually involved music or family visits to Pennsylvania or Alabama. Several trips were the national conventions of my church, in which I directed choirs of over 100 members, instrumental ensembles, and sang solos for audiences of 2,000 to 10,000 delegates and attendees. Those were exciting times as I was able to conduct choirs from coast to coast. In 2005, Faye and I ventured to Vancouver, British Columbia, in Canada, to visit with a new choral friend, Larry Nickel, who I had met through Greg Wheatley, who played many selections of the West Coast Mennonite Chamber Choir on Sound of Majesty radio broadcast on Moody Radio out of Chicago. Larry was presenting a doctoral dissertation concert of his composition Requiem for Peace. I will never forget the royal treatment we were afforded during that visit. First, during one of the busiest weekends of his life, the composer himself met us at the airport, provided refreshments at the airport lounge, and escorted us to the concert hall where he had arranged for us to sit in very special seating with his family. During the weekend, we had ample opportunities for extended conversation and a number of outstanding meals and attendance at the world premiere of his extraordinary composition, which had been written in 13 languages. Larry and I have become more like somewhat distant brothers through the years, and I consider him one of life's greatly treasured friends. In 2009, we attended the National Convention of the American Choral Directors Association with a primary featured chorus of extensive reputation, the Vocal Majority of Dallas, Texas, directed by another fairly new friend at the time, Jim Clancy. Here again, we were received with great warmth and promoted beyond what any normal fan of that great chorus could ever expect. Mr. Clancy sent his chief assistant, Nick Alexander, to meet us and usher us into the rehearsal hall, where we met legendary director Jim Clancy, his wife Judy, and a number of members of Vocal Majority. A highlight of the convention was the morning of the Vocal Majority's performance. Each group has exactly 30 minutes on stage to rehearse, from first toe on the stage to last heel off. With a highly schooled audience of 6,000 vocal professionals, every moment of the rehearsal time is precious. Faye and I sat in the auditorium listening to the rehearsal. About halfway through the time, Jim stopped the rehearsal and said to the 100+ men on the risers, "Gentlemen, I want you to meet a very special friend who has come to Oklahoma City to hear you sing, my good friend, Tom Hammett." He invited me up on the stage to say hello to the greatest men's chorus in the nation. My mind was spinning trying to figure out what to say to this stellar world champion chorus. Suddenly it came to me as I remembered they had just recorded a patriotic song written by Johnny Mann. I said, "What a thrill to hear you sing live and have the opportunity to say hello. My friend Johnny Mann and your good friend Johnny Mann said I would absolutely love this chorus." He said the group is made up of 4 members of the clergy, 1 law enforcement officer, and 125 used car salesmen. The entire group of 125 showbiz hams burst into laughter, and I've been a friend of the chorus ever since. On a subsequent visit following very recent heart surgery, we were invited to the Clancy home for a brief 20-minute visit at a time when family members were not permitted to visit. Our 20 minutes turned into well over an hour, maybe two, and Jim declared upon our departure that our visit had been the best medicine he had yet taken. What dear and treasured friends! What heart-filling moments! In 2017, we once again attended an ACDA convention, this time in Minneapolis. The featured chorus was the celebrated Atlanta Master Chorale, directed by Dr. Eric Nelson. At his final concert of the season in Atlanta, the chorale had given the audience a preview of the forthcoming concert in Minneapolis. This preview was presented following a regular subscription concert for those in the audience who desired to stay. It was an excellent program with one of Dr. Nelson's well-planned thematic threads running throughout. The theme was the passing of time from the cradle to the grave. The preview was quite good, and the flowing theme unified the selections in a unique and cohesive manner. Eric and I had become friends by that time, and I felt free to offer encouragement. Knowing the razor-sharp level of listening of the ACDA audience, I suggested to Eric, if there's any way you can inspire another 3% of musicianship and the intangibles for the program, you can put it over the top. It's a tough audience. When I heard the Master Chorale and the morning concert, it was truly the best and most emotional concert I had ever heard in my life. I left the concert hall completely choked up to the point of tears, not able to phonate a single syllable. Who was the first person I saw in the lobby following the concert? None other than director Eric Nelson. He smiled pleasantly and asked, "Did we find the 3%?" I couldn't speak, but I finally squeaked out, "No, not 3%, but you found 30%." With a big bear hug, we departed for the day. A final fourth story, briefly, was the morning Fay, Rosalie, Emily, and I drove to Anderson, South Carolina for our first meeting with Johnny and Betty Mann. We met at poolside at their extended stay motel as they were awaiting final construction of their new home. We talked for a while, then went for a sandwich at Firehouse Subs. We returned to the pool and talked for several hours. By the end of that visit, we had become family forever. The Manns visited Chattanooga a number of times in the years to come, normally spending a weekend with us and attending church where the choir would sing some of John's arrangements. During one visit, I was honored to present John a national flag which had flown over the nation's Capitol building in his honor for his work in show business and with the Johnny Mann Singers. It's difficult to conclude with just 4 short stories about our limited trips, but there were quite a few that centered on some very special people.